What's cracklin', everybody? Welcome back once again to the definitive cereal tier list, where each episode we take a cereal, put it on the tier list, so you know how good it is. I'm your host, Tucker. In this episode, we're doing Oatmeal Crisp. This is one I've seen for a long time, but I put off getting because it was like $6 a box for forever. I just happened to find it a little cheaper now, thankfully, so that worked out. But overall, it seems like a fairly normal cereal. Like looking at it, you just got your flakes, almonds, clusters. So it's definitely giving a Honey Bunches of Oats vibe, which again has peaked with the A-ranked frosted version. Got some C's with the vanilla, cinnamon bunches, and crispy almond, and then a handful down at the D's as well. Also, it's a flake here, not like a loop, but we had Cheerios Oat Crunch, which had an almond variety, which seems like it was a little similar to this. I'm not sure if, because it's called Oatmeal Crisp, if the clusters are more oatmeal-y, which I don't really have much of a relationship with oatmeal, so we'll see how that goes. But just kind of looking at it, seems like it'll be a pretty decent cereal. Let's just get into it. You can wait for this box. This kind of smells like cereal. No super distinct scent. Okay. Definitely seems like mostly flakes in here. So, originally, when this was getting poured in, it looked like it was just all plain flakes, but on the back it had flakes with some cluster stuff stuck to it, but luckily it seems to be in here too. Just not on all of them. Got your regular almond slices, and this is the only sort of cluster I'm finding on the top here. So, pretty classic breakdown of piece. I will say nothing is screaming oatmeal to me visually. So okay. This is a lot sweeter than I expected it to be. Like a honey and something else. Maybe it's the brown sugar. It's really standing out. And then the honey. Yeah, far sweeter than I would have guessed. But let's see if that works in its favor. Potentially it will. But I could see this mix of flavor that it has kind of becoming a little overbearing. And then, piece-wise, seems pretty standard. So, a tentatively positive start here. I was taking a look at the ingredients again, and further down the list, it does have barley malt extract. So that malt might be a bit of the flavor that I'm noticing as well. So that sugar, brown sugar, honey. It's a fairly unique combination. Like, I don't think we've had anything super close to this flavor-wise before. So that's kind of unexpected. This started out with a pretty solid crunch from that, crisp aspect there. But the flakes have solidified at this point to a pretty average flake extent. Those bits of like oat cluster stuff on the piece helps a little bit, but not a huge saving grace or anything. So I think overall, piece-wise here, seems pretty in line with similar stuff. All right, now let's give the milk a taste. Yeah, pretty similar to the piece there. Seems like maybe a bit more of the honey flavor. No, that's pretty good. Pretty good milk. I think I'm assuming there's the malt flavor that I was noticing at the beginning. There's a couple bites there. That seems a little toned down in the milk, which I think works for me a little better. So I appreciate that. I'm still not sure if this nailed the oatmeal aspect, but if it did, maybe I'd like oatmeal. I'm still a little surprised by the flavor this had. I'm not entirely sure what I expected it to be, but I don't think it was quite this. Like honey, that does make sense. Like probably should have guessed that part, but that combined with like the bit of brown sugar and then that malt flavor, I think was an interesting surprise. Overall, I think it did work out, and I did enjoy it, but I think for me personally, I would pull back a little bit on the malt flavor, focus a bit more on the honey, which again, maybe makes it too close to Honey Bunches of Oats. So I guess that's kind of the differentiating factor. But yeah, taste-wise, solid. And like I mentioned, the piece, pretty much what you'd expect for, you know, flake with some clusters in there. And the almonds are there, but as usual, it's not a huge sort of part of it. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, almond. So what I'm gonna do is give Oatmeal Crisp a B. That rank may surprise you, kind of surprises me a bit, because originally my thinking was this would end up probably around a C, be the same rank as a few of the other Honey Bunches of Oats, a little bit above the D-ranked Honey Roasted Honey Bunches of Oats, which this did make me think maybe I put that a bit too low. Like, that might be worth looking back into someday. But that's kind of what I was thinking. But as I've been sort of sitting here, the aftertaste of it, I'm finding I'm still enjoying it and thinking of it more. And though I think I would alter the malt flavor a bit, I think it actually is working for me more and more the more I kind of sit here. So that makes me think, oh, this was a really good flavor. Like, I already liked it even before I would make that change. So that's good. It's a little unique. And piece-wise, like I said, pretty like what you'd expect. No real complaint with the piece. So I feel like it's going to at least be that C. And I don't know. I think something about it just worked well enough where I was kind of surprised at the beginning. And I was like, oh, this is okay. But at the end, I've kind of come up on it a bit more. So I think it just barely scratches that B rank. But I think, surprisingly, it somehow did it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. In the comments below, post your general thoughts. Let me know if you've had Oatmeal Crisp and what you thought about it. If you have not, because like me, you saw this was very expensive, understandable. I'm still not quite sure it's worth the regular $6 I see it for. But if you have tried it, be sure to let me know. If you have tried both this and the Honey Roasted Honey Bunches of Oats, and you think they actually are a little more similar than the ranking would make it seem, and you think I should maybe take another glance at the Honey Roasted, be sure to let me know. It's been a long time, and I feel like my appreciation for bunches of oats and honey flake cereals has gone up as I've done the list. So I think you can make an argument for that being worth taking a look at again. And of course, if you're a fan of oatmeal and you can vouch for how oatmeal-like this is, I would be curious to know that too. But until next time, stay delicious.